What would you do if you were the Avatar? Would you use the Avatar state as a booster rocket?
What is wrong with you?
Being gifted all 4 elements seems like fun, right? Well, no, it's not. The Avatar is a symbol of hope and brings balance to the world, but could that be an impossible task? Is being the Avatar more of a curse than a blessing? Let's take a deeper look and find out, shall we? The role of the Avatar is an expansive one. You are in charge of being the bridge to both the spirit and real world, to being the world's ambassador who needs to keep every nation in check. Plus, being the beacon of hope for others around you. If this was a job listing on LinkedIn, you could probably say that a company would be asking way too much. And you're right, being the Avatar has way too many responsibilities for one person to handle efficiently. Also, I don't think the Avatar gets paid. If so, how does that work? Do like the nations like pool together? And how does that work if you have like a corrupt nation like the Fire Nation? I don't know. Look at Aang, a kid who just wants to be a kid, but who's forced into the role for being Avatar because of the Fire Nation. And this is a big reason why he flees. Korra, on the other hand, I'm the Avatar, you better deal with it, loved the idea. But the position slowly broke her. That's not from laziness or a lack of trying. Both are compassionate people who want to help people in need. Aang stops his search for Appa just to help build the zoo for the people of Ba Sing Se. Korra steps in to help non-benders when in the middle of fighting Equalists. Compassion that they have is their drive. It also is their biggest weakness. Now, don't get me wrong, empathy and compassion are wonderful traits to have, but sometimes it can be draining. If you've ever worked in healthcare or in a nonprofit, there's such a thing as compassion fatigue. The act of helping others, especially through traumatic situations, can become physically, psychologically, and emotionally overwhelming for an individual. I experienced it when I worked at an animal shelter, and it is a lot. You kind of get into this spiral of wanting to do more and wanting to help others, and then you get into this like numb mindset. You're just kind of way too tired to care about anything. And for Korra, this could be a contributing factor as to why she breaks. The Red Lotus poison is the catalyst in Korra's mental decline, but I don't think this is the sole reason she falls. The public never wanted the Avatar's help, consistently scolding Korra for her decisions. Even with Republic City against her, she shows more compassion than the world wants to give her. She puts herself on the line countless times, only to metaphorically have the door slammed in her face, making her feel hopeless, angry, and numb. Above all, she starts blaming herself for not doing enough.
I should be able to fix this. I'm the Avatar.
A big reason Korra is like this is because she wears her heart on her sleeve. She doesn't really wear sleeves, but you get the point. And for that, she pays dearly for it. Getting knocked out of commission and having a new superpower rise to fame, adding another problem for the Avatar to solve.
Another day, another migraine.
Compassion fatigue isn't the only problem that the Avatar has to deal with. They might feel like they're being taken for granted. When a big problem comes along, Aang and Korra are thrown into the situation without any consideration. Fire Lord Ozai is too powerful? Aang, go fix it. Oh no! Unalaq wants to become a dark avatar? Korra, go deal with it. It makes sense for the Avatar to step in, especially with a giant spirit ghost who could destroy the world. But in other cases, do Korra and Aang have to step in? No. They have other pressing issues. If Aang defeats the Fire Lord, then all those smaller problems will be solved. The same thing will happen if Korra takes down Kuvira, but the public demands the Avatar help them with their tedious tasks. It kind of reminds me of that episode of the Powerpuff Girls. When Townsville becomes way too reliant on them, they can't do anything for themselves. For Aang, that same dependency is found in the episode The Fortune Teller, where a town of people listen to whatever a fortune teller has to say and doesn't do anything else, forcing Team Avatar to step in and save the village from an erupting volcano. If they didn't, the town would most likely be destroyed. And Aang is a nice guy, so he's not going to call people out when being taken advantage of. But through Aang's journey, people do tend to take him for granted. I mean, look at the episode The Drill, where this earthbending general is kind of ignorant,
Whatever you do, don't stop shooting rocks down there!
forcing Aang to intervene yet again. Then for Korra, the people of Zaofu are way too reliant on her stopping Kovira. I understand that Kovira is a little out of hand at this point, but Sue could have easily stopped Kovira a lot earlier. Kovira was just like, I'm leaving, and then Sue was like, okay, well, I guess it's the Avatar's problem now. That is one of the biggest reasons why I despise Sue as a character. Everything about her just bugs me. Now again, we also have the idea of when Kovira rises to power, why didn't the United Nations step in? Like, they could have fixed the Earth Kingdom problem before Kovira got into power. So I don't understand how this is a Korra problem now. And that's kind of the problem. The people in the Avatar universe are just as bad as the people of Townsville because they think that the Avatar can solve everything instead of coming up with a plan themselves. Would that be considered groupthink, or is that a completely different thing altogether? Sure, the public can take advantage of the Avatar, but there are others that want to control and influence the powerful people around them. Prime example, Azula. She's a very powerful firebender who gets used by her father, or Longfang with the Earth King. These manipulative influencers could use the Avatar as their own personal puppet to do whatever they want. Look at Tarlok, easily taking advantage of Korra in Book 1, knowing how naive she was, ambushing her into joining his task force. Or Aang being used by that earthbending general. Some individuals love the idea of riding off of someone else's coattails to get whatever they want. And that can easily be done if they worm their way into the Avatar's inner circle. You know what, let's just be grateful that Azula isn't the Avatar, because I don't really know what would happen. When you have an individual that has that much power, corruption and righteousness can come into play, wanting more power and control until the whole world is theirs. And no one will step in their way or put up a fuss because they're the Avatar. They know best. There is no checks and balances system in place to stop Korra or Aang from going rogue. That level of trust in one person is kind of scary. The people put so much of their hope and faith in one person that it could very much turn on them. If anyone is in that circumstance of influence and fame, it can corrupt anyone. Even the Avatar. I mean, look at Homelander and Frollo. Both are so righteous, they develop a god complex, which is very likely to happen to any Avatar as well. It just depends on the individual's driving force. Look at Avatar Kyoshi. She was motivated by justice, which on paper is a good thing, but the search for justice can become muddied. And if no one's there to put you in check, then how do you know your motivation hasn't shifted? And if Korra and Aang ever became unbalanced, what would make them any different than Kovira or Ozai? The biggest reason why Korra and Aang wouldn't turn dark is due to their friends. Most importantly, Katara and Asami, who are normally seen guiding the Avatar through their rough patches. If Korra or Aang were ever to lose their significant other, things might get pretty bleak pretty quickly. Up to this point, we've talked about Korra and Aang as individuals. However, we haven't talked about the literal atomic bomb that is inside of them. If they were to lose what they hold dear, all that control would be lost. It could quite possibly be the end of civilization as we know it. Look at what happened to Aang at the end of Book 1, or Korra when she was poisoned. If they get to that point, there is no stopping them. They're gonna have a Daenerys Targaryen moment, and all could be lost. Just like that. That's just what I think. I know this was kind of a bleaker episode. Normally talk about things that are happy and wonderful about this series, but I always think it's fun to just like theorize and think about things in a different way. Just for funsies. Let me know if you got any suggestions as to how to have like a checks and balances system to keep the Avatar from going rogue. Click right here if you want to know how Toph's strength makes her who she is. Take care of yourself, and I will see you next time. Bye.